Welcome to Waiting Room. We've got Kobe today.
Yeah, you do.
Wow. So excited.
I was typing in chat. I was typing in chat.
I love having you here and just like, yeah.
Jatt goes, last weekend before the break.
Yeah, what were you saying?
We're not in the weekend yet.
Well,
It's weekdays. What
Thursday,
days?
Friday.
What days are the LCS on this week, Raz?
Thursdays and Fridays.
Raz watched last weekend. Jatt's not paying attention.
You guys in the chat apparently watched.
yeah, the people that are here now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Good
Congratulations.
job. That's you.
In honor
You're the best.
of understanding the assignment, we're gonna give you more work. So we have polls. We have
punishing you.
polls all throughout Waiting Room. Make sure you're participating in the chat polls. And once you have voted in all the polls, we'll then talk about
I'm in there.
the polls you voted in.
Did you already
Oh, you're
vote?
gonna vote? Has the
I'm
first
ready.
vote?
Are you
Oh, there is
gaming
literally
the
one
vote?
that's already up
I
right
am
now.
going to game the vote.
Really?
Yep.
What's the
Too
first
early
poll?
to get
Channel
MVP
points
prospect is the one right now being voted upon.
I don't see it yet.
Well, I see it.
I
so
see it.
I see it.
Yeah,
I see it.
on Kobe's phone.
Okay.
I'm voting Zven.
Yeah, me too.
What the hell? What is this
We're
rigging?
juicing the
You
stats.
guys are rigging the polls.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he was already winning, so
a
anyway.
true American tradition.
There'll be more. We're not going to do that the whole time, but it might be
We
a large
are.
part of the
Actually, we are.
Yeah. We're just going to be in chat. Just
Yeah,
go straight
making
into
polls.
chat
I'll be
polls.
like, who do you think is right, Jatt or Kobe?
And this is not a poll question, but who should be Rookie of the Year? That's the top of the show. So it's two different
Let's
games
go.
going on at the same time as I'm learning.
That's fair enough. I mean,
Yeah.
you might as well start talking about it. So these are the Rookie of the Year candidates, the prospects. We talked about it in spring. Now we're getting closer to the end of summer. It's time to talk about the rookies that are here and ready to play.
I mean, at first I was like, all last split. You know what? It's Sniper. Sniper has it in the bag. We don't even have to do the vote. Everybody's gonna vote Sniper. But for me especially, Masu performing on the big stage at MSI, I was like, oh wow, this is a real race right now. I have become a really big Masu fan as well. Sniper, the story is still amazing. You know, all the solo kills and everything. And 100 Thieves starting out this split with a pretty strong week one as well. Really, I feel like kind of restarted the hype behind the team.
And even in the series against Dignitas, he did have pop-off moments like we're seeing right here, kind of trading kills.
Yeah, he got that,
in
both those kills
topside.
and didn't die. Don't have to watch the rest of the clip.
I think the big thing with Sniper is I love when rookies come in and are just super aggressive. Like even before Sniper was doing all these interviews, he's like, with the top lane map changes, I just want to be a 1v1. I just want to kill people. And I feel like his play has followed through on that. And now it's a matter of like, okay, when you're in a side lane, how far are you pushing up on the map? Or like, when are you TPing into your team? So like the smaller things to learn to become a more well-rounded player. But I loved how he's entered the league with such confidence.
Yes, because not only is he learning when he's on stage, but it's the team around him. Because a lot of the times when you're playing in competitive, a lot of times you get bogged down by what you should be doing as a squad, like stopping yourself from like really taking some aggro instinctive plays. Sniper is that player, and for me, a player to watch, because whenever we get into Rookie of the Year kind of candidates, you always forget about summer is usually the one that matters the most.
Yes.
People always, it's the recency bias that's there. It's what matters when the pressure is there, and that's why I'm looking at Thanatos, a really prospect that just came in summer, a prospect that everyone is expecting to succeed. He's put in a position on C9 to do just that. And even though the first few series is not something that we're really that excited about, once he does level up, he is the carry player that people are afraid of playing against. So he's somebody that can sneak up and take that Rookie of the Year from someone else.
He could sneak. He's going to have to be so good in the last 5 series. 'Cause
Yeah.
Sniper put together a whole split already.
Yeah, he
where
did.
they won like 11
Yeah,
of their
Raz
14 games.
trying to push people towards summer matters the most.
Yeah.
So much so that spring doesn't matter at all.
I'm not saying
Oh,
that.
no.
I'm saying don't sleep
It's the
on
old
the god of
argument.
death.
Okay.
Don't sleep
okay.
on him.
I think in order for Sniper to fall behind Thanatos, I'd say Sniper would have to get solo killed every game. Like at least once a series, and 100 Thieves would have to go like 1-6 or something. Like they'd have to go in the dumpster.
You vastly underestimate the power of recency bias. Every time we go into MVP or you know, any of the awards, people are like, yeah, first 3 weeks or first 5 weeks or spring split. Like I think what matters most is the consistency from Sniper to show that in summer as well.
I think Thanatos is also going to have to drop some TikTok dances
That is
or
true.
some sort of
That's part of your criteria.
Yeah, some sort of entertainment factor here. Sniper is the whole package, full all-around entertainer for the league.
I'm going to return to Masu, because he's the other one who's going to have, like,
Yeah.
obviously, in addition to Castle, Mask, and Meech, I think Masu is the other one that people are looking at. I think he has really good hype coming on him from his performance at MSI, right? Where he did surprisingly well against international competition. In fact, at times, was one of the lone bright spots on the team in a few of their team fights. They had a rough
Don't
performance.
worry.
They got the kill.
Even though he missed that one Q, look at this.
Oh!
Right in the face.
So I'm really curious to see how much he develops this split, because I think with some of the meta changes that have gone through, we've gone back to playing a more standard style of AD carry. Even though Senna is still in the meta, I think we'd all agree that AD carry was a really difficult position to vote on in spring for like all-pro stuff. And I'm really curious to see him in a more standard AD meta, because when I watched him on FlyQuest Challengers, he was much more well-known for his team fighting on stuff like the Zyra, or stuff that he could really, really 5v5 well with.
And I would say the AD carry role for LCS, this split, got way, way stronger than it was last split.
Yes.
So
Agreed.
it's going to be so much more difficult, in part due to Masu leveling up and getting better and learning so much and improving at MSI. But also, Zven won that poll that we put, the first poll that we put up for best player. Zven is...
Inspired was like dead last, too. That was wild. He had like 10 votes.
I mean, it's also funny because we're talking about Masu, and like Masu and Busio on FlyQuest are like the super nice, super quiet, you know, not trying to attract any of the drama or anything. Meanwhile, Inspired and Bwipo on the team are creating this whole narrative where the entire LCS
and they're running the meeting.
And I will say, Smosism in the chat made a really good point. Like, you're just talking about Castle is pretty solid too. Whenever you talk to players, like Impact or anybody, they always kind of talk up Castle as a player, and he's a great carry, like Jace player too. So depending on like Castle's performance and IMT's performance this split, he's another dark horse.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. I mean, the other poll that we had, the polls are flying by.
We're going to touch the answers to the polls later.
But
you just love.
I'm already spoiled on this poll because I looked at Kobe's.
I know. I voted. I'm going to vote in all of them.
We gotta be up to date on the news cycle here, okay?
We do.
Live information. All right. I won't spoil the Cloud9 one. I won't spoil it.
Yeah. They're not back. Kobe.
Oh my God! What is this?
We're ruining.
You have a Zyra thing for us.
I do. Okay, Zyra does Baron really fast. And we've got some examples for it. AP junglers in general have been annihilating jungle camps, but this was from the first of the actual good Barons that NRG did. They used Zyra really well. The key is that your ultimate turbocharges all your plants.
Okay.
So you sprout all your plants, and then when you cast their ultimate on them, they're gonna do 150% extra damage, and so you can annihilate Barons. And we first saw this actually before LCS even started. LCK, they had a Zyra jungle. They did it at 20 minutes basically, and they burned it down. But I was just also glad to see the LCS teams, they've all been spamming Zyra in addition to a lot of the other AP jungles that are quite strong right now, and using some of the strengths here. One of them is like burning down Baron, because you have the plants there to help take it, but also with the ulti, you can just burn this thing down so quickly. That one was 12-something seconds. You can do it even faster. There are a lot of really good examples, but it adds this other tool where if you're gonna wait for the channel of a teleport 4 seconds,
Baron's almost gone.
Yeah.
Your Baron's almost gone, right? You have to keep vision on Baron nowadays in this meta because people will just burn it down.
So if you're playing Zyra, what's the best way? Because seeds will spawn by themselves. You also have.
I mean, if you can just hang out by Baron for a long time and spawn extra bunch ones, usually you don't have that luxury.
But then also you have a certain number of seeds stored through W.
Yeah, so you pop those. Yeah. Also, if you sprout your plants, you can cast your R. If you sprout the plants before the pop-up goes, they'll still get turbocharged by the ultimate.
So you can
have a little bit of time.
Like
you have a little bit of time, yeah.
Okay, and the R themselves isn't going to make
Also, you want to do the plants a little bit earlier because the R also refreshes the duration.
So you should QR then.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty crazy that Zyra is our second most played jungler in the split. With
Yeah.
out of 6 games,
is crazy.
5 wins, 83% win rate. It's
Yep.
pretty huge.
I was a fan of the Morgana.
Yeah?
Because I played some Morgana and solo queue also, and this one just being a like late draft pick where you really want a black shield, some CC avoidance here. It feels like such a good like R5 or at least later in the draft type of pick.
I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like against the draft, it was really, really good, and it was a great time to slam the Morgana. Remember, Raz, immediately, you were like, I love this.
Yes.
I love this. This
Yes.
is great.
The
one thing I'd say, though, is I agree. I feel like you can't slam her as early as Zyra, and Zyra is way more flexible. We are gaming the AP jungle OP poll right now, I feel.
I can't get the poll to show up. What is
So this guy just sucks at looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, he just has an
If
inferior
he
phone.
can't get it show up, there's
Yeah.
no vote. We're
Well,
gonna.
why don't I have a
I'm
poll?
like, I can
He
very
hasn't seen the
easily
poll.
see
I'm
it
about
on
to vote
Kobe's
in the
phone.
poll. So good luck to that one.
We have the results of our first poll. I voted in the first 2. I don't see the third one.
Yeah, look, you just need to get better, as unfortunately.
They didn't even put below the top 2, but Zven got 52% of the vote. There were 5 people on the Twitch poll ballot.
That's crazy.
We all did say Zven too, so
did.
yeah, we
Game the
all
poll.
I
said
feel
it.
like that was, good gamification.
we're not being very.
in the waiting room.
Well, I voted inspired. Here's the thing.
He was one of the 11 votes.
I
Raz
just-
was one of the.
But he was already extremely low by the time I did it. I think people just don't want to give him the credit. All right, at the end of the day, he's going to probably come out at the end of the split, probably the best jungler, and he's going to be an
Probably.
MVP candidate. So it is what it is.
So does your vote, like you voted because you saw he had very few votes and you're giving him like a charity vote or what?
It was 50-50. It was a little bit of that. It's like, I don't like seeing someone that low.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
You're trying to build him up.
That's about, yeah, exactly.
Nice guy.
I'm a hype guy, basically. I'm a poll hype guy.
I think the Zven way too early is actually not too early to consider it, though, because the narrative for him is going to be so strong.
The narrative, yes.
If Dig ends up like 5-2 or something, like the number 2 team, and Zven
What season is it,
has
Jatt?
it's Dig season. Cody. He's got the branding as well, but just the fact that he has been on so many winning teams, and then he joins another team and they immediately win. You're like, hold on, this guy's doing something. That he wouldn't even have to show it in game if they're just winning.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got public opinion primed to be on his side because he's so good in content.
Yeah.
So if he's good, then everyone's all ready to be like,
Which I
"That's
can
my
already
boy."
see the angry people now. Why are they saying content's part of MVP? It's like, I'm not.
Exactly.
But it's just, there is real story behind it.
I disagree that he wouldn't have to show it in game, but
As much, right?
I do think he has performed really well, which
Yes.
is
He set the
my
Smolder world
segue
record
from
for
what you
stats.
said, which I think he actually
Nice. Nailed
a
it.
lot. I know, right? A lot of people were like, where are a lot of these players on the team going to land, especially Zven, because not only is he coming from an off split, but he's also playing a different role. He's going back to his old role of AD. He's looked really good.
Who in chat remembers OG Niels?
I do.
Is anyone there?
I think we got a lot of votes.
I do.
I'm
I
in
remember.
chat.
Don't show your age, Chad. Don't show your
remember.
age. Don't do that.
He was on
Origin days.
OG.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
What does OG stand for?
Origin.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Double use. Next poll.
Yeah, next poll. Let's throw it up if we
Are
can.
C9 back for
Are they?
real this time?
Jatt spoiled that one.
There were
He did,
only 2
sadly.
answers. Well, I didn't say the percentage.
No,
38% think that they're back.
Should we have put
62%
more
they're not.
options in
I
there?
feel like
Like
we-
maybe?
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
like yes until.
Potentially.
I think people on the fence are more likely to vote no. Someone in the chat said, well, they won the last series, so yes. So I was like, you know what? Good thought process.
They're 4-1 game score,
Yep.
2-0 match score.
If they're not back now, what does it take for them to be back?
I think we're just, I think they're back, personally.
Yeah.
I just think they're back.
I actually have 2 analytical points as to why they're back that we'll go over tomorrow, I think, when they play. But
Yeah.
the first is I actually do think Blabber and JoJo are performing a lot better together as a unit, which I didn't see from them in spring. And then additionally, I think it's just a more comfortable meta for Blabber and Vulcan. Like, you and I have talked a lot about, like, Vulcan roaming on engaged supports and, like, specifically his roam timing around the early roam mid. Blabber on farming AP junglers, he is so happy with this meta right now.
actually so
And he's
true.
so efficient. That Karthus just, like,
Yeah.
destroyed jungle camp.
Top supports right now, Nautilus,
Yup.
Leona, like Alistar, great meta here for Vulcan. And yes, at the end of the day, I think they're back simply because they're just a much more cohesive team.
What does back mean? Best team in the league?
I think top two. Top two, I'd give it to them.
Okay, so you have them.
Ooh,
You don't have Team Liquid and FlyQuest as 1-2. You have Cloud9 probably, I would assume, over FlyQuest then?
Yeah, at the moment, I would have Cloud9 over FlyQuest. I think FlyQuest still needs to work around playing quad. Quad didn't have the best showing so far. So that's something they need to kind of get better at. But they're still an exciting team. I still think it's really close. But it's much harder to integrate a new mid laner than it is to integrate a new top laner, I feel like. You can integrate a new top laner fairly easily by playing bot side pretty heavily, especially if like top lane's just playing Skarner or whatever it is. But quad's the center of the map right now, and I think that's something they need to work heavily on.
That makes sense. Third poll. How many polls do we have? 5?
Quite a few, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't even remember
we
how
had
many.
5 polls.
Yeah.
Just keep
Poll
calling out
3.
more
Yeah.
polls and see when they
Team
run out.
Fly or Team Dig?
Oh, yeah,
wow.
obviously.
Are you surprised?
No.
No.
I mean, a little.
No.
84, man.
84 is a lot.
Well, I mean,
That's
the way the story has gone.
almost 17 out of 20 people.
I mean, FlyQuest though, I do like that the last piece that we just saw, you know, where they're responding to Dig. They're trying to get into the story now. You know, it's
Yeah.
kind of hard to lean into the story of like, oh, we're the villains.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah.
we've got inspired in Bwipo that are pissing off the whole league, and then try and use that. And I kind of like how they did it by putting them together with their like super innocent bottom lane. You know,
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
Masu
yeah.
and Busio are like, it's okay, we're just here having fun, you know, playing some League of Legends. You know, and then you have Inspired and Bwipo on the other side talking their split, the entire split. But I mean, this makes the weekend so incredibly exciting. Everybody is looking forward to Dignitas FlyQuest.
And everybody loves the underdog vindictive X story. And that's right now.
Revenge!
Dignitas.
And they have 3 of them. So if people haven't seen it, it's on the Dignitas YouTube video,
Yep.
YouTube, Dignitas Twitter, and then FlyQuest on Twitter also made a video responding to it. But the crazy thing about this to me, and this is more of like my content brain, they actually collaborated on this. Like with how quickly FlyQuest response came out, it's not like they saw the video drop and were like, let's pull this out. They'd clearly gotten a little bit of early access to what Dignitas was doing, so they could create
Can
a
we
product.
just take a moment?
So, like,
Can we just
good
take
job.
a moment?
Yeah, good job, team.
LCS orgs.
We had nothing to do with
working
those
on
2
content.
videos.
Do this more.
Yeah, Emily, you had a...
Oh, I was just
Fly
gonna say,
season
I
for
also
Vulcan.
just think like
Also, Fly
generally-
season doesn't work at all.
No, it does not.
Do you remember Fly Summer?
Fly-
They made the whole
FlyQuest
music
Summer.
video and
I
then had
don't,
the
I don't think they want to remember FlyQuest Summer.
FlyQuest Summer. I think Dignitas should have done a video like that. Dignitas Summer. Anyways.
No,
No,
it's
it's Dig
cursed.
season. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Dig
already
season.
done.
I also think it's really interesting to see, like, with Jensen specifically, but also I just think outside of the FlyQuest part, everyone going into the split really wanted Dig to succeed. Like, if they weren't necessarily high on them for, like, gameplay reasons, I saw a lot of people really wanting, like, oh, thank goodness Spica found a team.
Yep.
Thank goodness Licorice found a team. Thank goodness Zven found a team that will let him play AD, right? So I think this team was always going to be really, really popular regardless.
And
now,
Jensen, too.
yeah, all of the
Nostalgia
narrative
factor,
stuff, yeah.
revenge factor.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's too much to
Jensen
juggle.
coming
Great
back.
content, too, after your
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah.
There's so much that you want to love this team for. So, yeah, this is going to be the most hyped
Just get ready for
series.
FlyQuest to absolutely steamroll
Oh,
them.
no.
I was gonna say,
2-0.
Yes.
it also helps their story that Dignitas have that like bad news bears story where they're like, we're losing every scrim.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
we're
yeah,
so
yeah.
bad, we are the underdogs. So they also get the underdog story boost, and you just
True.
get everybody like rooting for you because they're apparently 0-36 in scrims.
Yeah,
And,
but one of the most experienced teams in LCS.
yeah, and
The
then
veteran
and
scene.
then so you combine like the underdog story with coming out and actually playing well and winning on stage.
Yeah. And I love this take here from Throbbing Hood. Great name. To be honest, FlyQuest is still fun. I don't dislike FlyQuest. I just love Jensen and the whole Dig squad. It's like,
Yeah.
and
Here we go.
whenever you see the FlyQuest drafts and their gameplay, it's like, I think Bwipo's entire drafting thought process is always fun. And
Yeah.
whenever you see something new from him, it's like that is a great idea. And the AP and carry junglers coming in from Inspired. So I do think they're a fun team to watch. It's just that at times, you want to root for the person that's like, as I said, those storylines are so enticing.
Yeah, and Inspired, when I had his face-to-face video with Jensen, did say, if we win, we'll be popular again, which is probably true. So we're to see how that plays out. Next poll was the most OP AP jungler. I missed this one. I didn't get to vote in this one.
This is the one you were trying to vote in,
I think
right?
so.
And like it didn't come up
What
for
were
you.
50 to 42? Didn't we have like
Zyra.
5 junglers on this
Yeah,
poll?
wait, I
It was
thought there
supposed to
were
have more
junglers.
options than
Well,
that.
it probably did. Nidalee's not going to get that many votes. Morgana
I
had
mean,
3.
there's only
I just
8%
heard,
left.
Well, Morgana had 3 votes.
We're-
So,
That's at 2%.
so
This is like never mind.
Kobe already covered
It's a
what-
two-party system.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wonder if these were the 2 visible ones, right? And then the other ones were like behind a cut or something. I didn't see how the poll showed up. But
I mean, I voted for Zyra. I've been there.
Zyra, I also think that Talia is sliding under the radar a little bit, just because she's so flexible, but also she's been banned a lot, and if you are going to play her, you probably want to play her mid with
think-
something else.
Exactly.
But
Another factor is like
I
they're
agree with
getting
Zyra.
like direct jungle nerfs for Talia.
Corki.
Karthus is also taking some nerfs, but Karthus is,
yeah.
is still way
Karthus
up
nerfs
there.
hit
Yeah.
hard, but that's
Yeah.
for next LCS.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know we did a lot of propaganda for Zyra. The answer is just Karthus, guys. I'm sorry. Karthus is just the most annoying
Wait till
jungler to
next
deal
patch,
with.
buddy.
I can't
Yeah.
wait. Honestly, I
He's gonna
can't.
get,
It's.
he's donezo.
I really do hope those nerfs come in, because whenever you see a Karthus come in from the opposing team, you're like, oh god, I hear boss music. Like the early damage, if you're able to land Skittles, she's just oppressive early, and then of course later on, once you actually start scaling, I don't think there's much you can do with it. And Inspired showcased that in week 1.
Close poll. Final poll. When does the LCS return after the break?
This is a tough one, guys. It's between July 20th and July 20th.
Both answers are
Wait.
correct. Good job,
Oh, we
chat.
did it.
We're
You're
back
all right.
on July 20th after this Thursday, Friday LCS, but that moves us on to this week. Immortals, first game on Thursday against NRG, and I'd say, even though they're 1-1, it's like a bright 1-1. Because their week 1 was so strong. They played Cloud9 last week. Not many people expect them to win that one. Tactical in particular was pretty good in spring, and I think has been able to carry that through into summer.
Yeah.
Often a very inconsistent player, but seems to have found a little bit of consistent good play here with Olleh and Immortals.
It's just so fun to watch. I mean, you've showcased a lot of stats that's talking about if this bot lane's behind, if Tactical is behind, they will not win, or I guess in your words, probably very less likely to win. And honestly, what I love to see from IMT in their first week was when they had a lead, they held on to it very well. They slowed the pace of the game down. I thought Castle had really good positioning around objectives. This team is actually kind of scary. Sure, they got completely dumpstered on when they went up against Cloud9, but I think it's really hard to tell their growth, because the growth is what matters. They're not throwing games in key positions, or at least the ones that I've seen with the sample size we've had. So that's my thought process on them. You're going to be probably surprised with the predictions later on. Just going to throw that out there as a nugget.
Yeah,
Oh.
I have a hard time being afraid of this team.
Yeah?
Their opening weekend was good.
Yes.
You know, versus Shopify, and I started to try and like get on the hype train of Scrim Immortals is finally gonna show up to stage games, and this is gonna be their split in summer. But their series versus Cloud9 was so abysmal that it took away all of my hype that I had just been building for them after week 1. And so I'm gonna need to see something here today, right now, versus NRG, which is a for sure struggling team, to try and rebuild that hype.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see, because one thing we saw from the C9 series is that we talked about how comfortable Blabber is on farming AP junglers. It felt like Armao wasn't able to do much, and I feel like he might be a little bit unsettled in this meta versus other junglers in the league. This is the Contractz Armao.
Surely that's too many
champ
champions
pool.
to play Contractz.
It might
Yeah,
be a bit too much.
it's this is for the entire year, right? I do think Contractz has had some bright moments and some not so bright moments even within the series they just played.
The Diana ult was pretty bright because he was using the Arclight skin or what, the shiny skin. And
Yeah.
so it looked pretty, it was more noticeable. So
Right, objectively and not figuratively.
I love the fact that we were talking about two of those junglers because Greg Jackery in the chat just says, like, I really like to see Armao level up this week. His peak form will enable the rest of the team to do what they do best, and I think that's fair. I mean, we talk about, even Armao is holding up that landline phone. He's going to be hearing the calls from his solo laners, and like when he's playing Jatt,
it looked like he was handing us the phone.
Yeah.
So he's like, excuse me, Raz, this is for you.
no.
That's what he's doing to
You're
his
the one
laners,
that's on
though, right?
call.
Like he receives the call and then gives
Kobe,
it to
no.
Why did you say Kobe?
Oh.
What?
You talked about the Diana R, and now
them. It
everyone
was
else
tough for
is.
me in game 2.
Yeah, it's because I just talked about it that on June 23rd, Dom tweeted that.
Yeah, how dare you?
Bit of a time traveler.
Okay, Raz, you teased our predictions being strange.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What-
All right, let's
What's
throw
going
it
on? Let's
up.
call
I
these
may be an
predictions.
IMT believer. It really depends on.
I mean,
whether
they
or
have
not-
the better record.
Yes. And are you an IMT believer or an NRG hater?
All right, Raz.
I'm a little bit of both. I think IMT, a tiny bit of both. I think IMT has showcased something that can be transferable in a longer series, whereas NRG, even in their win versus FlyQuest, still impressive. I thought was a really back and forth game that had a lot of throws. So drafting matters a lot. And as long as Castle is not playing the Lee Sin or the Karthus versus Maokai thing doesn't happen again, as long as the early game is protected from an IMT side, I think they win this.
I think this is an incredibly important matchup for the mentality for both teams moving forward in summer. Summer playoffs, your placement matters so much. And again, we're best of threes. You only play each team one time. So critical here, I think, for both teams to really gain some momentum in the season.
Yeah, for me, I think I was talking to you in makeup, Kobe, where I was like, do I want to believe in NRG?
Yeah, it looks like you do. I see evidence that.
I actually don't believe in either team, but I do.
But you have to put something on the board.
What
But
in the
their-
heck?
What does that build up to
I was
this
gonna
matchup?
say, in their FlyQuest series, right? I also didn't think their game 1 was that bad either. Obviously, they gave up the Skarner to trade it for the Senna composition, but I still like that to a point. I felt like they had windows in that game where they could have.
Emily
taken
is
it,
such
so.
a pessimist. The
I am.
the glass is not even half empty. The glass is just broken. she smashed the glass on the ground.
floor.
I'm
Well,
seeing more IMT believers in the chat.
Energy
There we
wants to
go.
make sure that their seasonal glass is not 3/7 empty after this one. And they need to pick up the W. Let's talk to the coaches as I cut off to them before the game. Thanks. I'm here with Anero, head coach of Immortals, and Thinkard, head coach of NRG. I'll start with you, Anero. 1-1 start to the season, but also only 5 matches left. How do you feel about the team so far?
I feel good, but yeah, it's really weird. It's 5 matches left. It feels so short.
What are your expectations for today?
I don't know, win. You want me to say lose? I think we'll win. I think we'll be good.
Thinkard, rough start to the year for NRG, but you're obviously no stranger to slow starts in the past. How is the team, and what have you been working on to try and pick up the first win?
Yeah, we're honestly feeling pretty good. We definitely started out pretty poor, but our last week and a half has been a pretty big upward trajectory, and it is kind of impossible to ignore like how much better we looked last week than we did in week 1, and we know we're going to look even better today.
I heard you guys talking before in the Travis Gafford preseason power rankings. You ranked NRG last. How do you feel about that now?
I don't know, we haven't scrimmed them much since then. We kind of stopped scrimming them, so I don't know if they're better. It's sick. I think they're better than Shopify, at least.
You also ranked your own team 8th when I asked for your preseason power rankings. Care to elaborate?
We're underdogs. You gotta always think that we're the underdogs, but it would be cool if we pull it through.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Good luck today. Let's get to the games.
If you guys wanna trash talk, be as good as this guy.
I run this league. I'm just so happy to be here, you know.
The best part of the LCS, the glory that comes with it when you win.
welcome to week 3 of the LCS. Later today, we'll see if Team Liquid continue their winning ways and stay undefeated as they take on a 100 Thieves squad hungry for another upset after taking TL down twice in spring. But first, Immortals are looking to break into the middle of the pack as they face off against an NRG roster hunting for their first win of the Summer Split. I'm Azael, and I'm joined here with Emily and Jatt for our first game of the week.
It's gonna be something. We covered it in waiting room. Kobe was making fun of me for not believing in either team fully, you know?
You could have a little bit more faith. One team is definitely going to win. And I will say from the coach's interview that...
One team has to win.
Listen, NRG has been no stranger to slow starts in the past.
True.
Palafox is the player that I'm looking at who definitely needs to step up in a big way. I think there is a window for him to perform here in this series against Immortals, who hasn't shown that much mid-jungle synergy. If Palafox and Contractz come together, I think NRG could get back to it. And I really just do want to emphasize how important it is for them to not start 0-3. Because they're going to be, after this, have a pretty sustained break, come back for 4 final matches, and if you start 0-3, the best you can finish being 3-4 would be a pretty big disaster.
I mean, it's just crazy to think that it feels like the season is just starting, but they're almost halfway done after this week. So it is very important for NRG to get some sort of momentum going because things have just really not been going their way. And even individually, they haven't been playing to the level that we have come to expect from them. You know, even when you think back to spring last year where the team as a whole wasn't doing well, we were still having guys like Palafox individually look really, really strong. And we just haven't gotten to see that this summer.
Yeah, that, and also we kind of talked about how both of these junglers, I'm really glad that you brought up, obviously Contractz and Palafox working together, and then Armao also being able to work with the rest of their team, because I feel like both of these guys would rather be affecting their lanes in a way. I also think, obviously, as we start going through pick ban, I will be curious to see if Ivern is taken off the table, only because these are also the 2 junglers where it's routinely banned against both of them. And they're both just such huge Ivern enjoyers. IMT also taking the Senna off the table for NRG. NRG is still one of those teams, and FBI is one of those players that I think of when I think of Senna in the LCS.
Yeah, I do wonder if we're going to see a Corki ban here. Otherwise, I could very easily see the Corki first pick coming through to Mask. I know in other leagues around the world, picks like the Lucian have come in to be a bit more of a Corki match, but I still think, without seeing it, that a Corki ban would be the most logical choice here.
We see the Talia ban coming through, and then Corki first hover, Corki first pick. With Tristana out, I will be curious, like you said, to see what Palafox ends up bringing to the table in that mid lane. But Ashe is up, and Ashe has been something that obviously her place in the meta is still incredibly solid because of what she can bring.
Absolutely, and when we talk about the jungle matchup, Ashe always brings so much for the jungle matchup because of the hot shot. Tracking the enemy jungle is going to give Contractz a pretty significant advantage. Ezreal Leona as the quick snap answer here from the Immortals bot lane, who traditionally, they have been the real hope for this team. They are generally the one to carry it if Immortals are going to get the win.
Yeah, and also we see the Sejuani coming out for Contractz. I think some of his better performances in LCS have been on this pick, and again, it is something where he can sync up with his lanes. He'll have that vision from the Ashe, and the Ashe Kalista coming out, that double hail of blades, really, really aggressive 2v2.
Yeah, and that's going to be where this early game is defined now, is around the bottom lane of NRG versus IMT, because even if we haven't seen Ezreal Leona for a bit, that's a very traditional kind of power pick duo, but it's more about later on in the game because Leona will bring so much tank and CC. Ashe Kalista will basically slam you early. I do wonder if we see a lane swap here.
Yeah, I'm also curious to see one thing that I've noticed about Huhi just generally against other supports is that while he has the highest kill participation of any LCS support at 79%, he also has the lowest mid proximity and kind of a general low proximity to other lanes outside of bot lane. Which is really interesting when then you look at someone like Olleh on this Leona who might be able to get those early roam timers down, especially from first back, and be able to affect this mid lane matchup.
So there's the Ivern you were talking about earlier. That's going to get banned away. Maokai, which was played in both the games for Armao last week, also banned away. And when you are looking towards these kind of squishy double range bot lanes, generally the thought process is, all right, bring a ganking jungler, utilize the Leona, try to punch them in that way, because the isolated 2v2 is so difficult. So we're going to have to see where Armao wants to go as far as the junglers are concerned. In week 1, he did play a very different style of champion. He played the Xin, he played the Rek'Sai. He was able to win on both of those, but went straight to the Maokai in week 2.
And I think they've given him a good window where he can play a bruisier jungler here up against Sejuani, knowing he has the front line, or just go with what everyone else has been picking as an OP champ with the Zyra. I love it.
Yeah, and obviously we've talked so much about how fast this Zyra clear speed is, and for me it really is going to be about how much playmaking Armao can also bring with that fast clear time to be able to affect his lanes, especially on the bot side if we don't see any sort of swap coming through.
I mean, when you're looking at this Immortals comp, it feels like just a lot of poke, honestly. You know, you have the Corki, the Ezreal, the Zyra all poking and prodding away. Then your go button, of course, is going to be the Leona or potentially a flank from the Renekton. On the other side, there is some pretty powerful engage as well, and it's pretty low commitment engage. And with the Sejuani ult, with the Ashe ult, they can get fired away. And if you are actually able to connect on one of these squishy targets, then they can go in for the follow-up, look to get those 100-0 type of kills.
Generally speaking, I think I'm favoring the Immortals composition a little bit, but that's mainly because I just love Zyra comps that make sense. Being able to full clear in under 3 minutes, and then also having Olleh on Leona, which I think is the strongest support on the patch right now due to the tenacity rune changes and also Warmogs being such a great item for her. It just makes a lot of sense as long as they can get through that early laning phase with the Ezreal Leona.
Yeah, for me, it's about where the junglers decide to go early, kind of piggybacking on your point. I do slightly favor the IMT comp as well, but I'm really, really curious to see if this NRG bot lane can get that push, maybe set up a dive with Contractz Sejuani, depending on where he passed.
Yeah, I think for Armao, it's going to be a lot about defending the plays that the Sejuani is going for, because not only is it about attacking that potential bot lane for something like a dive, Jack Sejuani, also a really powerful duo, so even though we do think of Renekton as one of these strong early game champions, you can be preyed upon by the Jacks and the Sejuani. There's so much CC, stacking the passive with that secondary melee champion as well. And if the Jax gets ahead, we know he's going to be a really big threat in the side lane, and playing through side lane is one of the hardest things for some of these kind of poke comps to actually deal with. So we'll see if Immortals are going to be able to get another win here, or if NRG are going to be the ones to get on the board.
I've got to say that the importance of this match is extremely high for NRG, because even though starting 0-3 traditionally isn't a death knell in the LCS, when it's 0-3 match score and you're playing single round robin best of 3,
it's basically 0-6.
It is actually 0-6, which you don't see many teams start 0-6 and then still have championship aspirations, which is where NRG is going to be right now. And then one small thing that is a little bit unlucky for NRG actually is the way side select works in best of 3 LCS is the top 4 teams from spring get it in 4 of their series, and the bottom 4 get it in 3 of their series. NRG was a bottom 4 team. But the way the randomization worked after that, this is the 3rd match in a row that NRG's actually not had side select. So it's a slightly unlucky against them at the very start of the season, and it's even more important that they don't have that negative momentum of starting 0-3 or 0-6.
Yeah, and obviously, I know you keep bringing this up, Jatt, but we see the NRG slow summer starts as they did get perfect game by EG. Obviously, this is in single game best of 1s, not best of 3s, which you kind of underlined the importance of being able to win this match against IMT. And then early on, we did see NRG kind of full invade. They were spotted out by an Immortals ward, but placed that early vision down on the bot side jungle. So they should know when Armao decides to path down here, in addition to scouting out for a potential swap that did not happen.
I mean, they have 3 wards down in the jungle, so he is going to be absolutely spotted out anywhere he wants to go. We'll have to see exactly what Contractz is going to do. There is a ward on his Raptors as well, so they're going to get the info, of course, that Contractz is clearing from top down towards bot. And both teams are going to be fully aware of the information.
I do wonder what NRG is using all of that early vision for, because they didn't disrupt Armao's very early clear. It does seem like he didn't necessarily clear 3 camps super fast. We'll see what he actually does the 6 camp on. I've seen it as low as like 258. But at the moment, the first wave crashed into Olleh and Tactical generally okay, and there's no dive being set up, so it looks like a relatively okay early game for the Immortals bot lane.
Yeah, it's just going to be about how much of this farm can they actually pick up, right? Because it is 19 CS to 8. There is obviously a couple more there for him to farm, but you know, NRG knows that Zyra's now on the bottom side, so they are going to just crash the wave, allow it to collect and come back towards them. This is the window where they have to play a little bit safe here, because this is where Zyra's going to be ahead of that pace of the Sejuani. They should be aware that the Zyra could be down here.
Yeah, they're just going for it.
Well, Huhi in a lot of trouble. Is going to have to flash out. The Stranglethorn is not going to actually connect. As Grasping Vines, excuse me, the root doesn't actually connect on him there. FBI will hold on to his summoners, but it is both of them spent by Huhi. They target the support because he's the one without the cleanse.
Oh, watch out. Contractz now maybe getting a little bit of river control. They really have to scrap over this wave to see who gets it.
Yeah, we'll see. Contractz is here, wants to hold on and try to keep his bot lane safe in this 2v2. And he's just going to sit around here, not going to be able to actually challenge very likely for this scuttle. But now, as Huhi moves up, Contractz is going to try to push in. Armao, though, could just cross and potentially go for a double scuttle. It is going to have to be a base here from Contractz, and a slight advantage for Immortals at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I am kind of a little bit surprised, because I guess Contractz was not in a position where he was going to be able to come down and help them without skipping a camp.
He was spotted. They didn't track that ward. Try brush.
Yeah, I feel like this early set of decisions by Armao, the first gank is good, but everything after that, I think they're missing that like slight bit of extra you get with Zyra. Like when you have the chance to double scuttle there, you just go for it and slingshot your way ahead of the Sejuani, because as it is now, it's actually just going to be 7 camps to 7 camps, and he does have his first item now that's going to help him clear faster after that, but he could be a lot farther ahead of the Sejuani at this point.
He could, but I also do like that at the very least he was able to get a pretty good back for Tactical and Olleh, as you see them roaming up topside, presumably for a grub take. So, I mean, in this lane where they were getting hard shoved in, obviously, like you said, it could have been a little bit more efficient, but I do think that is what this allowed, right? Because now they're going to be able to set up for grubs, and they're setting up for a dive on top side.
Yeah, they're actually just going to go for the 4-man dive here. Olleh going to look to start it out. When's the counter-strike going to come through? The stun arrives. The root is there to follow. Dhokla going to go in. He got first blood in the 1v4. Big Doke stands tall in the top lane and gets the kill onto Olleh. He had no flash. Starting out that dive without flash was very risky, and Dhokla able to get the punish.
I think you got to lead with the Renekton there instead of the Leona. I think the ordering by Immortals was just a little bit impatient. I understand Olleh has probably made that gank happen so many times in the past in scrims, and maybe just didn't realize until it was too late that he didn't have flash. When you bring 4 to a level 5 top laner, you usually get the kill for free, so Dhokla surviving this is a great outplay.
Yeah, and I mean, this is absolutely not the way Immortals wanted to go, right? As they see him go in, get the stun. He still dies for it. They do trade 1 for 1, but that's actually so crucial. We see Pinkard reacting.
I mean, that's one of those reactions where he knows it's bad that was even a possibility, but he's happy that he got the return kill, because it still doesn't help him a huge amount. He did lose the wave. His opponent top laner did get the kill, and now we're actually in a full swap situation.
Yeah, I was going to say, now we see those lane assignments coming through out of IMT. No grub set up yet, but they do have this bot lane duo away from that pushing Ashe Kalista.
Yeah, they do, but at the same time, you know, they were farming bot lane. You sent 4 members top. You end up giving first blood over to your opponent. Yeah, you got a kill. Yeah, Dhokla doesn't get a huge advantage off of it, but bot lane is creating an advantage, right? That is, across the map, still a very good play for NRG, as we're seeing Immortals pushing on top side. They're taking the grubs with the Zyra, and we'll just have to find out how much of an edge can Huhi and FBI get in this 2v1.
Yeah, a lot happening right now. Both neutral objectives, both duo lanes farming plates off of a solo top laner trying to hold.
They want to redive, maybe.
Ultimately, it's just a big trade. Contractz could consider a dive onto Castle, a level 6 Renekton's tough, and Armao could consider the dive onto a level 6 Jax, but that would also be tough.
Yeah. And we'll see. Contractz is pathing down here.
Yeah,
they do have the wave in a really good state right now.
We'll see if they can start it off properly. They are going to pull aggro, and Castle's just stuck behind the pillar. Nice flash away from the Sejuani ult, and now the turn of the stun. He gets the kill in the 1v3, and that wasn't even that close, honestly, to being able to take him down. Once the Sejuani ult missed, I feel like they just had to take it and back off.
Yeah, neither of these dives have worked out the way that the team's initiating them would have wanted as we see this. I fully agree. Once the Sedge ult goes wide,
yeah,
it's over.
You know when you stick your toe in the water to see if it's too hot? Normally, if it's too hot, you don't then jump in. But that's what Contractz did. His entire body got scolded by the Renekton underneath the turret, and he kind of gives one away.
Yeah, I mean, that one was a little bit tough, right? They don't have great CC to set it up. They could have potentially led with the Kalista, throw in the Ashe, but then maybe, worried about the Ashe just going 100-0, getting burst down. I feel like they should have just walked up with the Sejuani point blank queued and then thrown the ult out of it and try to actually start it that way. They were trying to have your support hold aggro on the very edge so we can step out at that last moment, but it's more important to hit that Sejuani ult, to have all the skill shots there to follow, and trying to get a little bit too tricky, I think, for their own good in this situation is Mask and Palafox just been farming it out mid lane. Hasn't really been too much action there.
Yeah, and that's kind of what both of them would want, right? Like, especially with this Aurelion Sol pick, kind of you want it to be scaling and then also kind of see if you can get Dhokla to a point where he will be able to mow down side lanes uncontested by the Renekton. So yeah, we have not seen any action mid, which is actually kind of surprising given how many other teams have kind of really tried to get their mid lane prio in place.
Yeah, there's the attempt, I think, from Huhi. That's the Ashe equivalent of a mid lane roam. Just fire the arrow, see what happens, be like, all right, if Leona comes, don't say I didn't try. But I do understand why there hasn't been more action, just with it being Corki Azael.
Yeah.
They're two more passive players, and also just because the Ashe Kalista creates so much priority around double Hail of Blades all-inning early. And then you also have Olleh, who's not on the Ashe Leona, and he just wants to fight every time his flash is up. Speaking of which, his flash is up and he's running bot lane.
Yeah, we'll see.
Contractz gonna find out that he was actually spotted there. Armao is around in the area, so could be a bit of a skirmish here, but it is difficult when you are spotted if you don't actually get the jump, and they don't have that Ashe arrow available for a little while. They do have the Sejuani ult back up, though, if they'd like to look for something.
Yeah, and on top side, we also see that the Renekton is now dirty farming up here in terms of getting that prio. Obviously, Dhokla will be able to catch this wave, but I am curious to see what IMT does as we see Armao taking this down on top side, them having set up vision, or bot side, set up vision around bot side, see if they want to make some plays, because I still think, I'm trying to think of the scaling in this game. So scaling in this game is still pretty good for the Corki Ezreal as well.
Yeah.
But you don't want this Aurelion Sol to get to a point where he can take over the game, or Jax can take over the
I think the Azael scaling is good, but I just think having the Leona as a team fight starter compared to the support Ashe, at least from the bot side, is going to outscale for them. And then Corki Zyra Renekton is just fine, as Contractz is just trying to escape after this Gromp.
Yeah, and I will say one thing that could be difficult is we're going to see the Ashe arrow actually connect, but nice little buffer there from Mask as he's going to be able to Valkyrie out in time. Range can also be a struggle sometimes for the Azael, right? You know, when there's a lot of poke, if we're talking about like a level 16 Corki and a level 16 Ezreal and the Zyra plants and everything poking away, as Immortals are going to be looking for 6 grubs here. They're first to the spot, but NRG are potentially collapsing. They're very split right now, though.
They're giving up a decent amount for this, though. Dhokla's potentially going to get solo first turret gold for himself, so yes, you're going to get 6 grubs, which can help you get plates, but you're giving away a lot of plates just to get it.
Yeah, and again, you want this Jax to kind of become a monster in the side lanes, right? As we see, looks like Huhi and Contractz, might be looking for something else.
Yeah, FBI looking to try to start it out. We'll see if they're going to throw out the ulti. Contractz still holding on to it for now. Is going to throw it, forces the flash. Nicely played by both sides there. As Olleh just splits the uprates with the ulti, not able to stun up anyone, lands the slow on 2.
Just the 3v3. You can see Contractz maybe looked a bit indecisive. I don't hate trying to get the stun before throwing out the ult, and still does get the flash at the end of the day, but the overall outcome of that play is giving a big gold injection to the Jax, who now completed Triforce, so you could secure the 6 grubs. Don't love it in the short term, but Immortals, who had already taken 4 plates, now has about 2 minutes to get more plates, and then obviously has the grubs for the rest of the game. Really need to see if they can create side lane pressure to take advantage of these grubs. Otherwise, that Jax is going to be a problem.
Yeah, and for me, I am curious to see who gets this next setup on this bot side for Drake as well.
Oh, Dhokla just jumped in, and that's kind of the anti-timing as Olleh is now here. Does he have a ward to jump back? Doesn't look like it, but is going to be able to get out of range here and should be okay.
Yeah, never used his Counter-Strike, so was never in huge danger there, knowing that the Leona ult was down and could always E the Q.
Oh, Castle's taking a lot of damage here, and there is the empowered ulti, and he's gonna let it rip. Castle, no flash available, pops the ulti, gonna try to kite this one out, but it is the Rylai's burning him down, slowing him up. Palafox grabs the solo kill as Castle was just disrespecting that ASOL damage in the side lane.
Yeah, and as Palafox grabs that solo kill, you also have FBI and Huhi pushing in mid. You have Contractz going for that second Drake to stack that up for NRG. IMT will be able to get a return tier 1 on top side, but this is a pretty good position for NRG to be, especially with the Drake control they now have.
And I think that's all brought to you by Dhokla versus Castle in that top lane. It's like, even though they weren't directly against each other, 3 people went up for Dhokla, nothing happened, and then Castle dies 1v1. So off of that lost tempo from Immortals, that's where NRG could get that Drake uncontested.
Well, Immortals still playing towards this top side, looking like they want to set up for a Herald now, which obviously going to be empowered by those grubs a little bit. If you do drive it in, you're going to be able to get 12 of those little mini Void Mites to spawn up. Dhokla playing pretty carefully around this top side, though, realizes, hey, Herald is up. They could be up here going for it. Is just going to back off because he has no vision whatsoever. And his bot side is pushing in pretty heavily. You can see that Contractz is down in that bot enemy jungle. They see no one there. So Dhokla just kind of intuits that, yeah, they got to be top.
Yeah, and they should be able to just take this uncontested as NRG kind of continues to just clear bot side, potentially set something up here. The wave's not here, and now IMT are looking mid.
I think they want to use this Rift Herald mid and try and break it open a little bit because they've lost control of their bot side of the map. I think a retake is actually pretty risky, but if they just hold mid here with Ezreal, Leona, and now the Corki's moving down a little bit too, I think they should wait for the next wave, drop the Herald, and try and make something happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Here we go.
Yeah, NRG's looking like they want to fight this, though. They're actually right here, and they're going to go in, and they find Armao, and Armao is just going to get burst down right off the bat. Castle's TPing in, but he's just going to have to run immediately. He's going to actually jump into the Herald. They're trying to block him on his way out, but he's going to crash into the wall, potentially. Tokyo Drift, he's going to get out of there.
Take a top lane, man.
But is it even going to get a charge? I mean, it looks cool. It looks stylish, but that was the Herald they played for. Someone could go top and kill that thing off at the end of the day. That was great play from NRG. They anticipated the Herald being dropped down mid. They immediately went for and burst down Armao, who wasn't able to actually flash the play.
And Contractz found the ult this time. Dash R, no hesitation. Armao doesn't flash it. Everyone was on the same page. The ASOL ult comes down as well. So the teleport from Castle is just far too little too late. And that entire setup is blown up by NRG getting that engage.
Yeah, and getting that engage onto Armao is super important as well, right? Just because of how much control Zyra can have in these team fights with her ultimate.
I mean, and he had flash. He knows it. That's the kind of look of disappointment on his face. He didn't react to it. If he flashes out and then turns around with his own ulti, it's a very different play. So it's one of those things where got to be on point.
And I see Armao just barely missing out on a few things, going all the way back to his early jungle clear, not double scuttling, being about 10 seconds slower than the other full clear Zyras that I've seen. That makes him maybe a little bit late to the first gank where they would have had a higher chance to kill, or maybe even, like I saw a River game where he pushed the enemy tank jungler off the blue buff, right? By being those small 10 seconds or those small fractions of a second before flashing away. And that's the difference in this game. It's still highly winnable, only 1,000 gold difference in 2 Drakes, but they're losing on some pretty slim margins here.
I do think that is when we talk about how these AP junglers have come into the meta and whether LCS junglers are super comfortable with them, right? These are the kind of small windows when we look at someone like River playmaking on something like the Zyra after a super fast clear, or Blabber just having such efficient farm on the Karthus. Armao just has not looked as necessarily comfortable with the Zyra, where Contractz, obviously, bot lane dive did not go as planned. He's whiffed a few Sej ults, but he is still very comfortable with this champion, how she looks.
Yeah, and Licorice said something to us last week where League is a lot more about where you are than like what you actually doing on your champion, and obviously both are a bit important, but I think that's even more important with junglers, but that's why the clear speed matters, because you just get more time to be in the right spot. And that is where the Zyra should have the edge. Hasn't necessarily taken full advantage of it this game.
I mean, the Sejuani has really been keeping up in farm quite close, right? And it's probably going to be Warmog second for Contractz, especially against a team that has this much poke. It's going to be very valuable to just be able to be that person who's stepping forward, who's eating the initial damage, healing back up before objectives, and just trying to go into these fights at full health. Olleh threatening a little bit on the side here. They may try to look for an angle onto Palafox, but Huhi does spot them out as both teams trying to get ready for this potential Dragon. NRG had the first two, so Immortals don't want to give it up, and we'll see if NRG can kind of bully their way in.
Right, let's see here, because Dhokla is free pushing that top lane, so NRG actually wants to take their time here. They don't need this Drake, but the best teams here will make Immortals work for it. So they want to get some cooldowns and buy Dhokla as much time as possible. They're a little too fearful of not having eyes on the Leona. They don't want to lose the fight, so I think they just end up giving this up as Dhokla gets the push in top lane.
Yeah, and that is the trade-off, right? Where Dhokla should be able to mow the rest of this turret down pretty quickly, and what you're looking at from NRG's composition is now who is going to be able to deal with this Jax.
Exactly. They put a lot of emphasis on getting him ahead. You know, we talked about it earlier with the grubs. You know, it's 6 grubs for all these plates in the tower for Dhokla. It's another tower going that way as a nice little sidestep comes through from Tactical. Now going to be looking for Mask. We'll see if they can find him. The Falling Star connects, and there's the Glacial Prison as well. He does flash out. He's just going to try to stand and fight. He gets over the wall. Is going to be able to survive, and Palafox here fails the flash and gets taken out. Castle arrives, and now it's more for dinner. Contract's gonna have to flash away from the Croc as Castle had his number. But Immortals find the kill onto Palafox off of a play that was engaged by them, but not able to actually finish off Mask before he got out.
Yeah, moment of trying to get a bit aggressive there. Palafox was very strong with a bounty, but just gets caught by the Zyra as he's trying to overchase, and I love the aggression from Mask of standing and fighting towards the back here.
Yeah, and here you see, obviously, the power of the Zyra coming in, the fail flash. Palafox has had a really rough split thus far, like a rough year compared to like what we know he's capable of.
Yeah.
And a lot of it comes down to these kind of individual, like, slight misplays.
And it's kind of a Merchreds diff, honestly, for Mask. You know, the early Merchreds did allow him to get out of there, to survive through those stuns, get over the wall. And he had it calculated very well. You know, you pointed out on the replay, Jatt, that he's actually not even immediately blast going over. He's getting more damage in before he has to get out. He had it calculated out very, very well, allowed them to turn around, get that kill. And now we'll see what Immortals can look for next, as they are starting to get pretty strong. Obviously, Triforce is done for Tactical and Mask. Their Muramana going to be stacked up and ready here for Tactical soon as well. And that's a big 2-item spike for both the mid and the AD for Immortals when it's done.
And I also think it's important that NRG is getting control of the Baron, not because they can necessarily burst the Baron super fast, because we have Zyra in the game. So if ever Immortals does have a window to take Baron, they can do it in under 15 seconds. But because they're a little bit behind in their solo lanes, right now Immortals is stuck playing
He's looking
defense.
for an angle. Again, not quite able to find it. He's been fishing for Tactical. They are going to try to push them back, utilizing the Azael E there. That's a little bit of a zoning tool. And now Armao gets caught, but there's no way to follow up on that. Contractz a little bit ambitious with the Glacial Prison, just lets it fly. And now both their engaged tools are gone. So Immortals can play a little bit more confidently, step a little bit more further forward.
Yeah, I think NRG was really confident there because they had the big Azael ultimate, and I think Contractz was hoping they could just chain somebody down. Agreed that it was a bit too far back, though. But they're going to just continue holding this mid prio. They still have the big Azael ultimate, so they're hoping they can just catch someone with normal Sejuani engage, I think.
Yeah, we'll see if they can actually do it. Contractz poking away, and in comes the Falling Skies. It's going to hit the dot on multiple people, but no stun. Mask, though, potentially in trouble. Tactical over the wall, and it's Contractz first to fall. Immortals, again, turn around the play. They're able to get the kill on the other side.
Gotta say, that's unfortunate for NRG. They were really trying to make a play happen around that Azael ult, but as you were alluding to, Azael, without the Sejuani ultimate, the engage isn't going to be that clean, and it's not like Immortals doesn't have a super slippery team. Like, Corki Ezreal, really hard damage backline to get a hold of. Zyra, really hard to dive through. So when they go for this play, it has to be clean. It's not clean onto Mask, and they can't complete the kill.
Well, look at where FBI is, right? Like, he's unable to come around and do any sort of damage in this fight. And when we talk about how NRG have kind of been trying to do this playmaking, this is where a lot of their engages, the rest of the team, can't come in and commit on.
Here's the Baron
looks like
bot.
they are potentially stacking up some of these seeds. They have eyes on it now. Dhokla has spotted it. But I'm just a little bit confused as to why NRG even feels that they need to force these plays. You have an Azael that's scaling. You're winning in the side lane with Jax. Why are we the ones engaging? You know, force your opponents to try to make something happen. It's now they're going to be starting it up. The Baron is in trouble. Tactical's going to have to cleanse and try to get out of there. But the real target is the Baron. It has been spotted. Contractz is in the area, so it could be a bit of a flip. Dhokla also has an angle to flank on the side. Immortals are going to have to back it up. We'll see if NRG can get anything from it. There's the stun onto just Olleh, though, and Olleh's going to be able to tank through it. Dhokla going into the middle of the team. They take down Olleh, but it's just the support that's been targeted. The Stranglethorns gets dropped, but no plants were even spawned from it. So yes, the support does fall. Immortals, though, will be able to retreat. Slight win there for NRG as they get the mid-tier 1 and the enemy support.
I really feel like in this game, as in life, patience is rewarded. Because the people that are forcing, I'd say more often than not in this matchup, just with the way the comps are matching up against each other with strong disengage, trying to dive into a Zyra, trying to dive into an Azael, end up losing. This time, Immortals was just way too hyped on the fast kill Baron. Like, that thing wasn't even close. It was super telegraphed. It was over top of a killed Scuttle Crab, and it just expended so many of their cooldowns that by the time NRG was patient and disrupted it, it was a very easy fight win and Drake take for NRG.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for me here is also just the execution of it, right? Because obviously IMT do want to get this Zyra into Baron. They do want to make the most of how her plants work and are able to take down that objective super fast. She has incredible control over some of these neutral objectives, but then it's the commitment to it from the whole team and then the actual setup, right? And that's where I think we've seen both teams in this game kind of struggle.
Yep, and we'll see who's going to be able to take a hold of this game. NRG now at soul point, so they're going to be looking to try to grab that next one. Does put some pressure onto Immortals, but really it's anyone's game. It's only a 400 gold lead here, 25 minutes in. It is very back and forth. Neither team has really been that clean on their engages. And it's going to come down to who can do it when it matters most. This next fight can potentially, at this point of the game, be not only the fight win, but maybe a Baron, maybe the Soul. And this is where one mistake starts to cost you so much more.
It really does. I think in terms of who is most likely to get caught out, it would be the two people with Warmogs, weirdly enough, because like they're the ones that are tasked with moving into space because they can heal up any poke. But then, because neither team
look where Palafox is on the minimap. Palafox is actually going for the Ezreal. He's going to look for Tactical. Tactical is forced to flash out. The falling sky stuns him, and he gets him. The Sejuani all over the top, snipes him down from Contractz. Big play from Palafox.
So I did not have Azael catches Ezreal on my bingo card for this game, but I need to see how Palafox pulled that off because he still catches the Ezreal post-flash, and now they're going for more.
Yeah, Armao is potentially in trouble here. He's going to try to back it up. In comes Mask. All of them are grouped up, and Dhokla is going to go in, lands a big stun on multiple members. FBI's involved as well. Castle flashing forward, but Contractz is there to peel. Castle's got nowhere to go, and NRG are mopping him up, wiping him off the map.
And that is the fight that NRG are looking for. They are potentially looking for a reset. We'll see if they reset and go for Baron or go for it. They're pretty low.
They got Warmogs, they got Kalista. I think they're going to start at Palafox, and Dhokla can both teleport back. This should be Baron. That is a game-opening fight, and it did start with Palafox, the guy who's had such a rough year, who needs to will NRG to victory here, makes a huge pick onto Tactical that starts it all before the big fight. Not sure which replay we're going to get, but I want to see it again.
Yeah, and this is where I think with Baron, again, the Jax becomes even more dangerous as we see the replay of this fight. Palafox walking up, and yeah, Tactical is just there on a ward. They're able to get on him even with,
wow.
Yeah.
Great angle from Palafox approach. You called it out there, Azael, on the minimap. That's the type of pick you hate to see as a coach as well. And then that led to this.
And it was so important because he actually used the fly so far up, so even when he shifted, he was still in range to continue slowing.
Watching this fight one more time as well, you could see that the engage was just clean, and it's the fact that it's a 5v4. Immortals needs to be conceding more of this ground here, not getting caught where the turret's not even necessarily protecting them. NRG with decisive plays, now with Baron pushing mid.
I just feel like we haven't seen a single time where Immortals are able to land the poke before they engage to the fight. They're just kind of going for these 100-0 plays, but you have Ezreal, you have Corki, you have Zyra plants to poke and prod and try to rot them down before you commit to that engage, but they're struggling to do it. Feels like they're getting a little bit antsy and then just over-committing into these fights.
And Dhokla's also so much stronger than everybody else in this game because he's gotten 2 solo turret golds early. He's level 16, so it's pretty easy to leave him down bot lane and basically get more people towards him. That opens up the mid lane as NRG is just trying to stack gold on this Baron.
Yeah, and now they should be able to rotate in and get this bot tier 1.
Big ult again.
They're going to look over the wall. The skies descend, and Armao is stunned up. Are they going to be able to finish him off? Doesn't look like it. Castle bodyguarding. Contractz stunned in the tower range, but the Merc Treads are going to be able to keep him safe there as the stun expires and he just backs it off. It's a big chunk, but it's a lot of ultimates spent and doesn't really amount to too much for either side.
And I think NRG needs to be careful not to overstay here because they can get Sol if they're doing the right thing, which is why Asol and Jax have now started both of their recalls. The Jax can teleport back, and then after the turret goes down, NRG is gonna not reset again and try and set up for this Drake.
And it's a small thing, but you can see how Contractz is being so annoying, actually bodyguarding, blocking Mystic shots for the cannon because he has the Warmogs. He can just heal it right back up. They are first over by that dragon, and now Immortals again gonna have to try to shove their way in. We'll see if they can do it, but look at this deep TP from the Jax. He's gonna try to come from behind them. He is spotted now, so they have information that he's there. The Ashe arrow connects onto Olleh. Olleh is getting low. He looks for the Zenith blade, can't connect, and now Contractz just trying to back it up as Dhokla is here, but he is very split from the team. Castle gonna force the counter-strike as Dhokla just jumps back to his squad. Olleh has got to let this Warmogs kick in and heal back up.
Patience is key for both these teams. Neither of them want to over-engage early. Dhokla not over-committing. Huhi out of mana, but the FBI poke hurts.
Dhokla's looking, he flashes forward, he got Mask! Mask is gone, and everyone is just burning down. It's a double kill for the Jax, and it's all of Immortals crumbling. It's a clean ace for NRG. They're gonna march it down bot lane here, and we'll see just how much damage they can get done.
And all of that gold and like turret plates, everything, the investment into Dhokla really paying off. When we talk about when this NRG team is at their best, it is through how they are able to play with these solo lanes, right? And when they looked their best, Palafox having some mistakes, but a really clean Asol game overall for the game. And then again, Dhokla, all this early investment really paying off. No one could contest him in side lanes before, and a really excellent flank around the backside of that team fight.
And the biggest issue we've heard about NRG since their championship was having different ideas of how to play the game, but the way that manifested, don't steal. Okay. The way that manifested.
Why don't you want to steal? You want the chaos?
Yeah.
Was them just looking really incongruent in team fights. This team fight, they were all on the same page. It's back, and when they go, it's go. Like, as Dhokla was getting that kill onto Mask, Contractz was also engaging on the other side, so they instantly both engaged on 2 completely different fronts of the team fight, and that's why it was so successful.
And I will say, something that is really positive about this for NRG is that even when the plays haven't looked good, they've all been committing to the same thing, you know, like you're talking about. They have been on different pages in some of the previous games. Even when some of these engagements are flubbed, they're at least all going for it. They're all kind of working for it. And it kind of feels like watching this game, that's something that they've been talking about and something that they've been working on is just, you know what, we're all going to commit to the call, we're all going to go for it, we're all going to be on the same page, win or lose.
And I think that's really key for a team like NRG that we're talking about, how many like internal communications issues they had, especially in this past spring, bringing Huhi in. As we see them set up, they should be able to get this pretty easily on this.
Oh, Armao's caught again. There's not a mod to follow up, but they're going to just kind of poke him down and push him back. Jax is going to be shoving up that bot lane. No one there to answer him just now as Mask is actually cheating up towards mid lane. This is that kind of difficult situation where Immortals are very likely going to have to choose one side and fully commit to attacking it, try to burst someone down right off the bat, and hopefully that buys them time. Because really now, on Immortals, you're hoping that you can get towards Elder and maybe take that. That's probably going to be the only thing that could really pull this game back.
I think the next step for NRG here is waiting for this Baron to come back up. It's in 30 seconds. They've cleared bot. Dhokla just needs to make sure he doesn't get caught or TP'd behind here, because with the setup that NRG has on the top side of the map, they should be able to take this Baron down fairly easily.
It's just so hard for Castle to do anything. You're an item and a half behind the Jax. You know, it's 2 completed items to 4. So even 2 members might not do it, right? You know, you might need a full 3, which it gets kind of close to checkpoint at that point. You need to send so many people down to answer them. And now NRG just immediately onto the Baron. The call from Immortals looks like it's going to be try to get down behind Dhokla and maybe pick him off, maybe take the Baron off of him. So they're sending the whole squad down here, but Dhokla's playing it pretty safe, and he might have better chances than Immortals are hoping for. So we'll see.
He baits it, or he dodges it by standing in place. He doesn't run further back in the lane.
Mask in trouble, though. He's caught by the Sejuani ult. They don't have the damage to finish him down, though, because it is just the support and the jungler. Despite the fact that it is an Ashe, it is just the support Ashe.
So as you can see, Palafox kind of bringing this wave in from top side. Dhokla escorting the wave in on bot side. This is really nice from NRG. We've seen them kind of bring out these compositions where they do want to side lane and have kind of flubbed some of it when they have been in positions to win. So it's really, really nice to see this split push coming out of Dhokla and NRG being able to close this out fairly cleanly. Hopefully.
Well, we'll see if they're going to be able to do it. Dhokla escorting all of these minions in. Armao has to come back to help them try to clear it out, and the wave is stacked up in topside. Mask in trouble. Mask stepping way too far forward, and Mask is just going to die for free. And that may just be the death knell of Immortals as they're all starting to fall. Dhokla flashes forward, takes down another. Castle sure to follow. He's low, he's gone. It's Contractz and Dhokla running over Immortals. Tactical can do nothing. Hit as many Qs as you want, but they're not going to make a difference here as NRG marches into the base. Will finish off the Nexus here and take the lead in Game 1 over Immortals.
Very big Dhokla in this one, 358 CS. And also this bot lane you see on screen, deathless with the Kalista Ashe. So overall, a pretty clean game at the end of it. Only had 4 deaths throughout, 17 kills, stacked up the Dragons, and have one more game win to get their first series win of the season.
Yeah, the early investment in Dhokla really pays off with this Jax pick that they saved for him on red side. Again, Contractz, not all of his early plays worked out, but I will always prefer a Contractz that is trying to read his lanes and making plays around it. And then Palafox on the Azael.
And specifically with Contractz, the fact that they didn't tilt after the bad play is the bigger positive for me.
Absolutely. And hey, LCS fans, Fantasy LCS is happening on Sleeper. It's not too late to sign up, start a league with your friends, and then crush your dreams with your own LCS super team. You can head on over to sleeper.com or sleeper.app to give it a try. And now let's head on over to the LCS Lounge to break that one down.
What's up, guys? Raz here. Just want to break down a specific lane swap play that IMT had in this game. Now, of course, IMT lost. Really clean play from NRG at the back half of the game around mid lane, but wanted to focus on this because the question that we all had, how dead are lane swaps? Now, in this case, we see NRG's composition. It has Ashe and Kalista, 2 heavily banned champions, really lane dominant. And in this case, you see the Zyra. Now, as we play this game out, one thing that Kobe talked about at the beginning of the day was just how fast of a clear Armao has. Even with the vision of Armao's pathing, he's going to be on Krugs at the time that Contractz is actually just finishing up blue. So by the time it gets to 3-11, he's going to be looking for a gank here, and it's really important to mention that yes, NRG, Huhi, and FBI should have recognized that this was going to be a play, but Armao's full goal is just to be able to get prio for his lane, and I'll tell you exactly why. So as we run this through, that's both sums from Huhi. FBI is kind of put in a bad position, so by the time Sejuani is able to join up here, what are you actually going to do? You're going to get prio from both Olleh and Tactical. The 3v3 at this point in time, I think, should lean towards IMT, and so as you move on, this should be a skull crab for Armao, but that's not going to be a sole point, and as we kind of speed this up just a little bit, you'll see as Sejuani bases, because you have nothing else to do in the bot side of the map, Armao is going to secure this push from both Ezreal and Leona, and I'll tell you exactly why. Just so they can go for a lane swap top. So not only are we utilizing the full, quick clear from Zyra, but also you're going to finally be able to get Ezreal and Leona out of lane, because in an extended lane, no matter what, this is going to be tough for them. And you get a beauty point for this one. You also are able to push for a lead on Castle from a 4v1 dive here. Best case scenario, if Sejuani recognizes that this could be a 4v2 dive, but this should always be successful. Now, this is going to be a critique towards IMT because they actually pull the trigger on this dive way too quickly before Tactical and Armao are in position. And with Olleh not having flash, I think he ends up dying for nothing. So that's the one problem you can fault from this one. But in the end of the day, this is a great and kind of potentially repeatable play that you can do as a team. That by this time happens, top lane is now, you know, the whole, I think it was an 80% damage mitigation from turrets are now off. You can now position yourself, prime yourself for a Grubs play. I love this play from IMT. They just fell off a little bit as the game went on. But now we move into the next game. Maybe they can come back. But as we head to break, Meteos, Palafox, and some of our other pros got a chance to play test League's newest champion, Aurora. Go take a look.
So, now that you guys have had a chance to play Aurora, what do you think?
I think OP.
Might jump?
She's jumping all over the
Wait,
area.
that's kind of crazy.
It feels like one of those champs that's really fun for me to play and really not fun for the other person to play against.
She can definitely be played like top lane and mid lane. I honestly didn't even read her abilities. I was just like playing her. She seems very fun and can't wait to spam her in solo queue. Look. I'm about to predict you right here. You flash. Oh my gosh.
Bro, the champ is broken.
I feel like it should be very hard for you, but I ran it down, so you won.
Oh, look at this.
No shot.
No, he's got to try again.
You good, dude? They're watching.
Hey, man, chill. I got it.
Yep. Wow. Pulled it off at the end.
Wow.
Not bad.
Not bad, not bad.
Red Bull gives you wings.
I'm a Zyra. Okay. We will win. You stun? No flash? Go. Run. Renekton. I'm on Jatt. I'm on Zyra. We can go Nash now. Yeah, we can go Nash. Yeah, looking Ezreal. Yeah. We can go. Yeah. Who can't rotate? I'm going short. Good shit, right? Good shit, boy. That's what I'm talking about. Palms. No, I'll wait, please.